Facts First presents Man Gets Stopped by Police and His Facebook Post Goes Viral. You can help us make this video go viral by clicking that like button, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Police today, they often get a bad rap. A few bad apples have spoiled the bunch, and now people think differently about police officers than they used to. Fortunately, there are great officers out there who would rather protect and serve than to bully, and this is one of those stories. Stephen Hildreth Jr. is a black man. He was driving to his office to turn in his weekly paperwork, and when he saw the Tucson police car in his rearview mirror, he knew that he was being pulled over. As he pulled over, he began mentally preparing himself for the encounter. The officer came over to his window, and the officer asked Stephen if he had any weapons on him. Stephen let the officer know that yes, he was carrying a weapon and he had a concealed carry permit. He let the officer know that his gun was on his right hip and that his wallet was in his back pocket. The officer let Stephen know that for both of their safety that they would need to disarm him. The man said he understood and he turned off his vehicle. The second officer on the scene tried to get the gun from its 7TS ALS holster, but at the angle he was at, it became difficult. The officer asked him to step out of the car, and he quickly obliged. The officer was able to get the gun out of the holster when Stephen got out of the car. Then they took his wallet, and they found his driver's license as well as his military ID. Stephen explained to the officers that he was in the National Guard. The officer told Stephen that he knew that his registration was valid, but the card was outdated. Stephen assumed that his new registration card was probably lost in the mail then. The officer let Stephen know that his headlight was out, and the officer went back to the car to run Stephen's license, and he knew that he'd already had 2 infractions, so this could be costly. When the officer walked back to Stephen's car, he had Stephen's gun in an evidence bag. It was locked and cleared. The officer told Stephen that rather than giving him a ticket or towing his car, he would just give him a verbal warning. Stephen was thrilled at that. He smiled at the officer and thanked him. When he got home, Stephen decided to create a post about his experience on Facebook, and in the post he wrote, "I'm a black man wearing a hoodie and strapped. According to certain social movements, I shouldn't be alive right now because the police are allegedly out to kill minorities. That notion is bunk, and I saw that today." Stephen added that if you treat police officers with respect, then they will do the same to you. He added that police officers are good people, and he ended his post by thanking the 2 police officers who pulled him over that day for the way that they treated him. Stephen expected his friends and family members to see his post, but figured it would probably end there. But it didn't. Within only a few days, this post was shared over 600,000 times. When Stephen found out that his post was going viral, he was thrilled. He was glad that people from all over the country could find out how kind these 2 officers were to him. Stephen understands the scrutiny that police officers go through, and his post let people know that there are good cops out there. Stephen said, "We talk so much about the bad apples who shouldn't be wearing a badge. I'd like to spread the word about an example of men who did earn their badges and exemplify what that badge stands for." When the station where the 2 officers work got wind of the story, they made sure to praise the 2 officers as well. In a world where you're often hearing horror stories about police officers on the job, isn't it nice to hear a story like this? It's nice to hear stories that paint officers in a good light. So cheers to Stephen for posting his story online for the world to see. And since you're in the National Guard, thank you, Stephen, for your service. And the same goes to you 2 men in blue. Subscribe for more.